over the last 25 years, I've worked for various local, state, and federal law enforcement and intelligence organizations, including the FBI as a special agent assigned to cyber terrorism out of the Washington field office, and at CIA as a cyber operations officer assigned to the Information Operations Center, which previous to that was the Computer Network Exploitation and Attack Division of the Clandestine Information Technology Office, or CITO. I really value the time working a beat, going from call to call, interacting with criminals, interacting with witnesses, victims of various backgrounds. I would say that shaped me more than my time at FBI and CIA, learning the criminal mindset. But I think to really understand the Genesis marketplace, we have to talk about a problem that attackers are trying to solve. And that is browser fingerprint-based two-factor authentication. And this is something that we've all encountered. You go to log into your bank from a new browser, and it says, we don't recognize your device. And a second factor of authentication is triggered, maybe a text message or an email. Well, that was a huge problem for fraudsters, for attackers. You couldn't just have the username and password anymore and get into somebody's account, because they would step up the authentication and say, look, we don't recognize this device. And especially for banks or digital currency exchanges, anybody who was serious about security did this sort of browser fingerprinting. So because this was a huge problem for fraudsters, they launched this Genesis digital fingerprint marketplace. And what it is it allows a bad actor to not just collect username and password, but to collect many of the attributes from the computer, from the environment that are used to generate these browser fingerprints. So really, it's a fingerprint, a digital fingerprint of the victim's computer, their browser. So when a bad actor has access to that and the username and password, they're defeating that second factor of authentication. The fingerprint cannot by itself be associated with a human, but the attributes that go into generating the fingerprint, in addition to all the metadata that is collected from the victim's machine, can identify the true identity of the victim. And I've done that many, many times. In fact, in the FAQs or the terms and conditions on the site, there's the statement that says they're not going to buy or sell or trade any information associated with the Commonwealth of Independent States. So those are normally associated with the former Soviet Union. And some of the how-to guides are in broken English, so it makes me think that perhaps Russia. However, the Q&A, when you submit a ticket and ask for help on something, those responses are in perfect English, which really surprised me. So I suspect that maybe, there's a mixed bag of people involved, and the people or person in charge of handling tickets is an educated native English speaker. The so-called bot is just the collection of the username, the passwords, many of the attributes used to generate fingerprints, a list of all the URLs that the so-called bot has interacted with. So that is what each of these right here, each of these rows. So this is a new feature of Genesis, showing the breakdown of all the bots by country. And you can see it's rather than just over 400,000, there's the precise number, 405,899. And then you can see the deltas over the last, day, last week, and last month for each of the countries. And if I scroll down here, you can see that some of the countries are minimally impacted, where you look at the top here, you've got the US, France, Spain, Italy, Romania, Poland, Chile, Hungary. These are all where most of the bots are originating. So I wanted to show, you said you wanted to see the link. If I go here, terms and conditions, right here it says store does not use or sell any products connected with the CIS countries. Now, a lot of computer security or cybersecurity experts are quick to associate this with Russia, or anything malicious with Russia or with China or with North Korea, Iran. It's easy to do that because everyone perceives those countries as hostile and malicious, and certainly capable when it comes to a cyber perspective. But, you know, there are these things called false flag operations, where if I wanted to make it look like my attack was Russian, I might put something like this on the site. My malware might look to see if the language setting is in Russian. You know, there's a lot of things that a state actor or a sophisticated criminal organization can do to lead security experts to the wrong conclusion. I feel like the only way to know for sure with certainty who's behind this is through, you know, human intelligence sources that, well, you in the media, of course, know all about that, having sources. And I don't have any, you know, human intelligence sources that can shed light on where this is or who's behind it. So I always hedge when it's trying to attribute this to a particular, you know, group of people or nation. This is certainly timely, but these ransomware attacks that are on the uptick, there's no reason why this could not fuel a ransomware attack. Once you take over somebody's account with username and password, that might also be the username and password at their work, and then you could send emails to elevate privileges. I mean, there's just no limit. It's once you take over somebody's account, there are just countless ways to monetize that.
Yep.
In fact, I believe that many state actors won't. Their goal isn't to monetize, but to collect intelligence. So, for example, imagine a state actor who has access to the bank accounts of government employees. I mean, when I was in law enforcement, if I had access to somebody's bank records pursuant to a subpoena, I wasn't, you know, getting access to their bank account for monetary reasons. I was getting access to it to see where they shop, where they spend their money. There's a lot of intelligence that can be gleaned from somebody's bank statement.